Hey, hey, hey. Happy hump day. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be a founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. This is live stream 794. If this is the first time joining me, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then looking at a game, taking a first look at a game, or possibly even doing a review as well. So tonight, I am kicking off the Gaming Gang's fantasy role-playing game celebration all month long throughout June. Every episode of the Dispatch is going to feature role-playing game content. So we're going to take a first look at some games. I'm going to review some games and adventures as well. So all month long, it is all fantasy role-playing games. Keep in mind, I'm not ignoring board games. Those will just not be on the live show. I'll do, if I'm doing unboxings or reviews, just be standalone videos. Normally, the reviews are standalone videos anyway, so it's not like that'll be that different. So just wanted to point it out. I'm excited because tonight I'm going to dive in and take a first look at the index card role-playing game from Runehammer Games and Modiphius Entertainment. This is the Master Edition. Fancy dancy, aren't we? So I'm going to be taking a look at that tonight. So if you are new to the stream, let me point out, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So if you're a first timer tuning in because you want to see ICRPG, hang tight, relax, kick your feet up. Probably take us about 35, 40 minutes and we will jump on in because I've got a lot of news tonight and I have a big announcement to make as well after I finish doing the news. So stay tuned. And I'm serious. It is a major announcement. So hang in there. All righty. So should point out, if you like this video and if you're watching live, you should be liking the video. Well, you can always give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos such as, where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. My upcoming review of Death in Space. I'm going to do that title once during the review, and then I will not continue doing the kind of takeoff of the Muppet Show Pigs in Space with Death in Space. And that is, of course, from the fine folks over at Stockholm Cartel and Free League Publishing. So stay tuned. That is on the very, very near horizon. In fact, it may already be in the can. I'm not telling you. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find on the channel. Well, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you do have to be a subscriber to the channel for 48 hours or more to be able to join in and chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So this is take 2 of tonight's show. I started the stream earlier, and I guess there was no audio, I guess, which was very weird because I actually used 3 pieces of software to provide the audio. I know it's a little weird, but if it just was coming straight out of the mic, it would sound even worse than it is now. Even though this is a really good mic, this is a very flat mic. And this is a fantastic microphone, don't get me wrong, but it is rather flat. So I do some EQ on it. And funny enough, about a half hour before I started the stream tonight, there was a Windows update that I did. So right there, that should have been an indication that there was going to be a problem. But my second piece of software that the audio goes through was showing levels. So, because I tested it, because every once in a while, the audio gets messed up after Windows does an update. So I thought, oh, okay, everything's good. But the software I used to stream the Windows update had changed the default on it. So, hey, thankfully, I kind of had an idea where the problem might lie. The only reason why it took so long for me to restart the stream is because I have to make sure that a few minutes pass from the end of a aborted stream to the beginning of a new stream. Otherwise, YouTube will actually combine the 2 videos together as a video, and I don't want that. So first out the gate tonight is Testy Trekkie in chat. Kathy Evans is with us. The Motor City Madman himself. Yes, our friend of the show, the Madman, is with us. He is one of our chat moderators, by the way, so behave. Mr. Eddie T is with us. Sarah D is also with us, saying, yes, now with audio. Yay! Now with Retson and audio. Who else we got? 245 Trioxin is with us as well. Flaming Heron, our other chat moderator, is with us as well. So it looks like chat is off and running tonight. So Flaming Heron asks, is it just me or is Jeff still a bit chubby with the audio? Oh, chippy with the audio. Uh-oh. Better not be. So, chime in chat, everybody, to let me know if the audio is coming through. I was going to say, my microphone levels look fine. I don't know. I am not sure. Mr. Eddie T says they're not having any problems with the audio. Yes, my voice sounds as bad as it always does, so there is that. All right. Madman says it's fine as well. Okay, very cool. Very cool. All right, we got a big show tonight, so let's jump on in because Capstone Games has revealed a new addition to their Terra Mystica lineup of games. Here's the skinny on Terra Nova. Terra Nova is a simplified version of the globally acclaimed strategy game Terra Mystica. Choose from 10 different factions, each with different abilities. Spread out on the central map as skillfully as possible and achieve certain goals from round to round. In peaceful competition with the other factions, erect buildings and settle new territories. Use your faction's special abilities in a clever way to control the largest territory at the end and win with the most points. High-quality components and variable game elements make Terra Nova a game you can enjoy for many years to come. Terra Nova is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $54.95 when it arrives October 26th. Oh, that is a definite date, huh? I'm surprised that Capstone Games didn't just say in October, because, you know, the way things are going with, you never know when things are going to ship out. Got a lot of stuff running late, but Capstone Games says it is arriving October 26th. I will point out, I have never played Terra Mystica. I understand it is very popular. It has a lot of expansions. I know I had talked about a news piece about the Terra Mystica big box, which, if memory serves me correctly, I think that was carrying an MSRP of $150, but it had the core game, which I think is normally $80, and a bunch of expansions as well in it. And I'm kind of curious. Let me know in chat or, after the fact in the comment section, do you play Terra Mystica and what do you think? Because I got to be honest, I've always been kind of curious about it. When I went and visited with Capstone Games at last year's Gen Con, I should have thought to ask for a review copy, but didn't click. Did not click. But if Terra Mystica is a little too heavy for you, because I do understand it is a heavier Euro game, Terra Nova might be right up your alley. Moving right along, burning up Kickstarter right now is the latest title from Litter Games. Here's, I think it's Litter. Somebody told me it's Leader, but I still think it's Litter Games. Here's a scoop on Arcs. In Arcs, 3 to 4 players guide their factions through a fast-playing space opera that unfolds over a trio of 60 to 90-minute sessions. The game opens in the final days of a decaying empire. Players take the role of the last regents of a once proud state that stretched to the farthest worlds of the Reach. Faced with an encroaching blight that threatens the outer planets, players must balance the integrity of their homelands with their own ambitions. Arcs uses an innovative card-driven action system that's easy to learn and highly interactive. Players are given hands of action cards each turn and must balance their desire to control the game's tempo against their other interests. Should you use the initiative to seize control of a critical new technology or reposition your fleets for a coming engagement? When players do trade blows, the battles are resolved in a snap using a simple dice system. However, combat's interaction with the larger action system offers players a wide range of tactical options, from multi-turn sieges to daring raids and dramatic escapes. Players begin the game in roughly symmetrical positions, which helps new players learn the core systems quickly. However, their choices will soon cause their paths to diverge. Unearthing an ancient technology might make the restoration of the empire possible. A chance discovery on a blighted world might lead a player to abandon their wealth and begin a voyage across the Reach to right an ancient wrong. Every choice will advance the game's story and form part of an emergent player-driven campaign. Many of these choices are revolved in a special intermission. We know we love intermissions around here. Between games. During this phase, new rules modules are activated and players are introduced to new capabilities and objectives. Despite their similar starting points, at the end of a campaign, players might control factions as varied as any in Root or Vast. Players will also use the intermission to spend their hard-earned power to maintain their fleets and wealth, as well as invest in new improvements that may aid them in the coming game. The campaign system of Arcs provides players with a huge number of possible game situations and hundreds of possible campaigns. In addition, Arcs also includes an abridged 2-session campaign and a single-session mode. There is a 2-minute or so Kickstarter video about Arcs. So let's kick back and give it a peek.
When I was young, my mother would take me to see the orbital races. I'll never forget how the wakes of those ancient ships streaked across the sky. It's been a long time since anyone raced one of those ships. Most of them were broken down and turned into transports to help our people move to the core worlds. Others were repurposed as vessels of war. Their engines were simply too precious to waste. It's been 6 years since we heard from any of the worlds on the edge of the Reach. Each cycle, the blight overwhelms another outpost. It breaks my heart to imagine our great cities overcome by its jungles. Though I am by birth a regent of the Imperium, the loss of these worlds has ruined my family. Our cousins feign concern, but we know they would have us leave as soon as we can. But when I sleep, I imagine great things. I see visions of new ventures and restored worlds. If the other regents cannot protect us, then we will protect ourselves.
Arcs is a fast-playing science fiction game set in a decaying galaxy. Players will face impossible odds and must make careful strategic choices and daring gambits to lead their people to victory. Arcs uses a deeply interactive action system where players must balance their desire to control the game's tempo against their other interests. Should you follow suit to take advantage of an opponent's action or pursue your own objectives? Both battles and courtly intrigues are resolved in a snap with beautiful custom dice that create a wide range of tactical options, from multi-turn sieges to daring raids and dramatic escapes. In addition, players can expand their game with an innovative micro-campaign system where each session becomes an episode in an epic trilogy. Every choice will advance the game's story and form part of an emergent, player-driven campaign.
Though there are many trials before us, I am glad to have you by our side. Will you pledge your support and help us build a better world?
Pledge today to secure your copy of Arcs. Now on Kickstarter.
Arcs has passed the $1 million funding mark for Litter Games. The game is for, once again, 3 to 4 players. It's for ages 14 and up. Plays in 1 to 2 hours, depending on what you're looking at as far as how many scenarios or how many games you want the campaign to play out. Could be up to 6 hours because you play 3 games, or there are also single session modes as well. You can reserve a copy of the core game as well as the More to Explore pack for a $60 pledge through June 14th. There are a variety of different pledge levels for Arcs. There is a pledge level that has miniatures as well. There are, I want to say there's another expansion, like a bigger box expansion, or a boxed expansion that is available as well. So there are a lot of ways you can go about pledging your support for Arcs. Expected delivery of this game is December of next year. Rats. Yeah, that's a little ways out. That is a little ways out, everybody. 245 Trioxin says that they like the art style on Arcs. I have to be honest. I would have thought, now I understand Letter Games has a particular artist who does, I believe, as far as I know, all of the artwork for their games, for Root and Fort and Vast. I would have thought they would have gone with like more of a kind of realistic art style for this, because it just kind of feels like that. I'm not saying I have any issue with the art style. It's just I was kind of surprised that they, and I get it. I guess it's kind of a company thing, the company look. But just a little surprised. But hey, you know what? They've passed $1 million in funding, so the art style's not stopping anybody from backing this. I have another piece of Kickstarter news. Yes, I know it has been a long, long time since I have had a show with 2 Kickstarters. But there is a new role-playing game that's inspired by D20 Modern. It is up for crowdfunding for Evil Genius Games. And here's the dope on Everyday Heroes. Everyday Heroes, the spiritual successor to D20 Modern, now based on 5th edition, the most popular role-playing game system in the world. And set in 8 amazing campaign settings based on the world's most beloved movie franchises: Pacific Rim, Kong Skull Island, Highlander, Escape from New York, The Crow, Universal Soldier, and Rambo. What? Zoinks! 20 years ago, D20 Modern was launched and grew to become the most successful modern-day tabletop role-playing game in history. We brought back some of those original designers to create Everyday Heroes, a 5th edition refresh of the historic D20 Modern. If you were a fan of D20 Modern, you're not going to want to miss this upgrade. If you don't know what D20 Modern was, then get ready to take the leap. In the Everyday Heroes core rulebook, we'll provide everything you need to run a modern-day campaign. There are 18 classes, dozens of professions and backgrounds, and plenty of gear. There's a new wealth system and rules for car chases. You'll have everything you need to design your own spy thriller, Navy SEAL rescue, or murder mystery. But that's not all. You also get to step into one of the 8 different cinematic adventures and play your own action hero within a blockbuster franchise. You can step into a Jaeger, or as they said in Pacific Rim, Jaeger. It's actually Jaeger, if you're actually using the correct term. And you'll get to fight Kaiju, which that's regular pronunciation there. You can befriend Kong and fight terrible beasts on Skull Island. You can mow down rebellions alongside Rambo. Hey, and don't forget, there can be only one. They don't mention anything from Highlander. I mean, come on. Talking about Rambo and you're ignoring Highlander? I tell you. Each cinematic adventure not only gives you an adventure set in the world of these movies, but also new 5e mechanics. Cinematic adventures are campaign settings that sit on top of the Everyday Heroes rules system. They are 100-plus page digital books. Hard copies can be ordered through the Pledge Manager, but these digital books have 2 parts. Part 1 gives you new game mechanics that fit the theme of the property. Part 2 gives you a full adventure set within that world. There's going to be something for everyone. You can buy these one at a time, or you can purchase all 8 in the Season Pass of Adventure. There is a 2.5-minute long Kickstarter video, give you a better feel for what you can expect from Everyday Heroes.
Good evening, hero. I've been expecting you. You've seen the action on the big screen, and now you want a part of it? But do you really think you've got what it takes? Have you got the mettle to follow Rambo into the jungle, or take on the mighty Kong on Skull Island? What about going full mecha and fighting Kaiju on the Pacific Rim? Everyday Heroes kicks off with the 2023 Season Pass of Adventures. 8 of the best action films of all time, brought straight to the gaming table. Rambo, Kong, Skull Island, Pacific Rim, Highlander, Universal Soldier, Escape from New York, The Crow, Total Recall. We've got all the greats. Each adventure brings new setting-specific rules to Everyday Heroes, so you can play exactly the way you want to. Evil Genius Productions has got a lot of the team that originally designed D20 Modern. They've added in some great new talent and applied the same tenets to 5th edition. The result? Everyday Heroes. A fast-paced, slick set of contemporary action rules that lets you play all the archetypes. You fancy yourself as the face of the party? A genius detective? Maybe a muscle-bound bully boy? No problem. With 18 classes, you can be exactly the hero you want to be. Add in a multitude of professions and more backgrounds than you can shake a stick at, and you can be anyone. 5th edition just got real. So, What are you waiting for? Roll for initiative. Everyday Heroes. Now on Kickstarter.
This Kickstarter for Everyday Heroes has passed the 1,700% funding mark. You can reserve a hardcover copy of the core book, as well as the PDF and the Roll20 digital module for a $50 pledge. Or you can go the full digital route for a $25 pledge through June 18th. So if you want to get the adventure, the cinematic adventures, it's like $125 more, or like $100 more. So keeping in mind that those are supposed to come out like every 6 weeks. So there will be 8 over a full year. And you can get a bit of a savings on them, I believe, if you just sign up for the entire year. So that is available to you as well. As far as I know, the core rulebook will be available in PDF in November. The physical core rulebook will be out in March of next year. And then beginning in May of next year will be the cinematic adventures. So a lot going on with this Kickstarter for Evil Genius Games. And I have to say, they have reached out a few times to me through email, and these folks are new. I think this is like the first Kickstarter they've had anything to do with backing or creating or what. And they are super excited. And they are like very full of hyperboil. You know, hyperbole. I have a friend who always says hyperboil, and I'm like, it's hyperbole, man. Come on. Just like, I think it's kind of funny how they're like, these beloved film franchises. It's kind of like, that's kind of stretching it on a couple of these, right? Hey, I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I'm just like, they're like beloved film franchises. Like, you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be like, it's going to be Star Wars. No. Star Trek? No. Universal Soldier? What? This does look pretty cool, though. Does look pretty cool. Madman says, okay, so I'm going to have to check this out. I have enough 5e settings to last a lifetime, but it looks very interesting to the Madman. Zero Theories joined us in chat. Good to see you. Thanks for swinging on in. Flaming Herons points out, speaking of Kickstarters, they wanted to say thanks for the link to the Return to Dark Tower fantasy role-playing game, because they were looking to try to find it the other day and they couldn't. You know, interestingly enough, that is something, in fact, I tweeted about this today, that ever since the Gaming Gang launched in 2010, I have always put links to the publisher and the game. Always. And I'm amazed at how many outlets do not do that. And to me, that is a courtesy to not only the publisher, but it's also courtesy to the visitor. Because why should you have to go and search out? Now you got to go find the company, the publisher's website, and then go try to track down where's the game at. And sometimes some of these publishers, their searches are not very good. So it's like, so yeah, I've always done that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Flaming Heron mentions that because they were having a hard time finding that Kickstarter until they ran across the link in the article in the news piece. Speaking of Kickstarters, let's talk about a successful one, because arriving in the fall is Tome of Beasts 3 from Kobold Press. I got to point out, I am seeing there are retailers who are taking pre-orders, but I didn't notice pre-orders open yet on Kobold Press's website. So it's like, Okay. Anyway, here's a bit of info about Toma Beast 3 because it's going to bring 400 new monsters to 5th edition, from Ghost Knight Templars to Riptide Drakes, as well as foul new fiends, challenging aberrations, and much more. Toma Beast 3 is sure to challenge, delight, and even terrify your players. There's an appendix with tons of NPCs, monsters designed by guest designers such as B. Dave Walters, Gail Simone, and many more. I have to laugh. If you're any way or shape or form into comic books, you know who Gail Simone is. And she just, as far as I understand, she just recently, within about the last year or so, gotten into role-playing games. I was like, oh, that's interesting. She's probably best known for Red Sonja and Wonder Woman. Those are two of the properties that she's done a lot of work for. She's done tons of stuff for Marvel and DC, and obviously Dynamite Entertainment for Red Sonja. But I thought that was kind of funny that she's one of the designers of one of the monsters in here. Also, there are backers of the Kickstarter who got a chance to design monsters in Tome of Beasts 3 as well. There are monsters ranging from familiars to coastal environments to towering undead to forest haunting dragons. This hardcover is slated for a November release. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99. Sweet, very cool. Definitely like the Kobold Press stuff. And of course, everybody loves bestiaries. Talk about it all the time. People like releases that give player options for their characters and bestiaries. They do very, very well. Sweet. All right, let's wrap up with the final news piece. And this is a fairly big one because available now in PDF is Terminator, the role-playing game. Here's the deets from Nightfall Games. Join the human resistance. The world is a wasteland, broken by the machines we built. Our own creations, our own hubris, not in some distant future, today, now. The machines think they have won, but there is one last chance for humankind, a secret weapon that Skynet, in its infinite calculations, could never have anticipated. You. Play at any time, including the 1980s and future war. All the main characters from the movie, such as Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and the T-800, are included, as is content from the graphic novels and all new, never-seen-before Terminator variants and hardware. The rulebook includes 2 mission packs, enabling you to relive the Terminator movie and to join the fight to bring down Skynet in a not-so-distant future war. You play resistance fighters struggling against the machine onslaught of Skynet in an alternative and post-apocalyptic version of today, the once far future of the 2020s. You can take the role of rebel time travelers sent back to various points in time to stop Skynet from altering history. You can even play natives of any historical time period targeted by Terminators and trying to stay alive as a future hell is unleashed around you. The book is designed as a toolbox to allow the director to create their own campaigns or one-shots, including detailed campaign arcs, campaign seeds, mini-missions, NPCs, weapons, detailed locations, and enemy characters. You have the option to play either pre-generated characters or create your own, tailored to your preferences, weapon choices, and role within your team. If your character is killed, a new one can be brought in, from the future, past, or present. That new character can be many things, including even an alternate you from a divergent timeline. The game has been built from the ground up to both evoke the tone of the film and place you in the middle of the action. The terror and desperation of facing unstoppable killing machines are yours to bear. Only united with your fellow resistance fighters can you hope to defeat them. The 230-page Terminator, the role-playing game, yeah, I think that is the exact title. It is actually Terminator the RPG is available in PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. I know this was another pretty successful Kickstarter also. I do not know what the physical books are going to retail for just yet. I did not run across anything like that. Flaming Heron points out an alternate me. Oh, well, there goes the future. Alrighty, that is the news for June 1st. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG there. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild, Storyteller Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a small purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you feel thegaminggang.com is a valuable resource, if you like what we do, by all means, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by swinging on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And there are a lot of people out there who use those drive-through links, really helping us out. And there are a handful of people who swing on by to paypal.me and make a small donation, such as the Madman. And it is all very muchly appreciated. Thank you very, very kindly. All right, let me grab a sip here. So there are a trio of things I'm going to mention before we jump into our first look at the index card role-playing game Master Edition. First off, I actually mentioned this during a Kickstarter I talked about yesterday, and then, of course, I was talking about the Everyday Heroes Kickstarter, and it is the inclusion of the Roll20 modules in the Kickstarters. And we have not seen that in the past, but suddenly we are seeing a lot of role-playing game Kickstarters including these in the mix, and they are not an additional, pledge level. You're not having to spend another $20 to get the Roll20 module. It is alongside, usually, if you're getting the PDF alone, even if you're just going all digital, you're getting the Roll20 module also. And I find that very interesting. Once again, just throwing this out there. I have no inside dope on anything, and I could be absolutely wrong. But I sort of get the feeling that Roll20 knows they have got to shake things up, because with D&D, I think they're still going to consider it part of D&D Beyond. With Dungeons & Dragons planning on having their own dedicated virtual tabletop, Roll20 is going to see a lot of their users migrate. So that's why I think we're starting to see a lot of these Roll20 modules being included in the Kickstarters. And I think we're going to see a whole lot of that. So the other virtual tabletops, I don't think are that entwined with Dungeons and Dragons. Like Foundry seems to be more kind of tied in with, obviously enough, Cubicle 7 Entertainment. But of course, there are a whole lot of different games going on to Foundry as well. I want to say Call of Cthulhu is on there now. There are quite a few, and I think 5e is part of it as well. But 5e is not a driver to Foundry. I don't think D&D is a huge driver to Fantasy Grounds anymore. So I don't know. But I have to give Roll20 a little bit of credit that they're not just going to sit back there and be like, oh, well, okay, that's how it's going to be. Actually being kind of proactive. Like, nice to see that. I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Roll20. I've messed around with it a little bit. But I would say out of the virtual tabletops I've utilized, and I have not delved into them that deeply, it's my least favorite. I think it has the fewest features. And to me, it's kind of bland, but just me. Zero Theory says some steep competition out there in that field now. Yes. Flaming Heron mentions movement behind the scenes, I tend to think, and agrees with what I'm thinking. Yeah, well, you know, evolve or die. That's how things work in this world. All right. So, on a little more serious note, it was a year ago today that I had a cardiac event. It was not a heart attack. It was a cardiac event. And I found myself in the hospital. Those of you who have been following the gaming gang for a while know this story. So I ended up over at Rush Copley in Aurora, Illinois. And I had to spend the night because the next day they were going to do an angioplasty. And they thought, well, you know, probably have to do a stent because I already had a stent. And of course, those of you in the know already know that the following day, that angioplasty was about 15 minutes. They were like, oh, no. No, bypass. Doing a bypass. I was like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, that was a year ago today. And then, of course, I had spent, I think it was 6 days. I'll have to take a look. It was either 6 or 7 days. I had to sit around in the hospital because I had to get the one drug that's a blood thinner that I'm on because of the stent. They had to get it out of my system because they couldn't do surgery with me having blood thinners because I just bleed out. So Bane122 is with us in chat. Oh, wow, you're already? Well, congrats on still being alive. Yes, that is quite an accomplishment, I guess. You know, and I get it. You know, triple bypasses are all, there's hundreds of them done a day in the United States. So it's old hat. It's nothing new to these people, you know, the nurses and surgeons and things like that. To me, it was, you know, a little curious because one of the other aspects that had me concerned, and I had mentioned this, I have not mentioned this since the bypass, but one of my good friends that my best friend Elliott Miller and I had for years had a triple bypass. They were in the hospital for, I want to say they were in the hospital for a week. And they were, which a week in intensive care is a long time after a bypass. I was out of intensive care in like 14 hours. So that was like super fast. I was out of the hospital in 3 days. So, but then again, you know, a little bit different. Everybody's, you know, going to be different. Anyway, so our pal Bob had a triple bypass, was in the ICU for 7 days. They were going to transfer him into just a regular hospital room, and he died that night. And I was like, oh, shit. So I kept thinking of that. So I think it's like the first 60 days after your triple bypass is when you're like, fingers crossed. But yeah, I feel pretty good. I got to drop some weight. I have put on some weight. So I actually I have dropped a little bit back off, but yeah, I'm still a little too plump. I need to drop like 10 to 15 pounds and we'll be okay. I'll actually share a picture next week of what I look like about 2 weeks after I got home. Because I did take a break from doing the dispatch, obviously enough, right? And I looked kind of gaunt, but I was, more around the weight that I want to be at. So I don't know. So I had to get a kick out of Bane122 used a heart emoji at the congrats on being alive. No, I don't think you could have chosen a better emoji. That's pretty appropriate. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, but at the end of the day, any work on your ticker is scary. Yeah, for me, you're right. You are completely right. For them, it's this, for the surgeons and nurses, it's like old hat. It's like, yeah, another day at the office, punching the clock. When you're having it done, it's a little different. And I will mention, I'm not going to just continue on about this because we'll talk about this a little bit more next week because that'll be the year anniversary of the actual triple bypass. And I'll share a picture of what I looked like right after I got out of surgery. Unconscious, obviously enough. But I was just about to say that, my gosh, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, zoinks. No, it wasn't brain surgery I had. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So one of the assistants to the surgeon, because I spoke to the heart surgeon, I think for like 5 minutes total. But one of his assistants was this younger woman, and she was like so upbeat. It was insane how upbeat she was. She kept telling me, "Oh, this is going to be fine. You got no problems. You're perfect. Blah blah blah." And finally, I was like, "Well, if I'm so perfect, I wouldn't be here if I were perfect." It's like, "Okay, dokie." Anyway, so yes, so a 1-year anniversary. Yikes. But yeah, feel pretty good. All right, final thing that I want to mention. Yeah, this is another long show tonight, huh? So I told you I have a big announcement to make. So I am going to officially announce the formation of what's going to be known as the Gaming Gang Network, because Elliott Miller is returning. That's right. Almost 10 years since he has been with the Gaming Gang. He is returning. He is going to still have Voice of E, which was his outlet that he created when he left the Gaming Gang. He's going to be Voice of E, but he is going to be part of the Gaming Gang Network. So I don't know exactly when he's going to start posting new content, but those videos will be found at thegaminggang.com. They will still belong to his YouTube channel, but they are going to post on thegaminggang.com. And of course, he's back is basically what I'm saying, but he's going to have his own little thing. Don't want to say, oh, he's just back with the Gaming Gang. No, it's still Voice of E. But he's going to join me on episode 800. So I was going to do like an AMA for episode 800, just me, not to be confused with GMA, which is Good Morning America, or NDA, non-disclosure agreement, which I've actually had to sign a few of those. No, an AMA, ask me anything. So I think what we'll do is we'll just have Elliott come on and give you a bit of his background. He was on for episode 500. That's a while back. And kind of you'll welcome him back and kind of talk a little bit about what we can expect. So he's going to tackle board games. I've talked about it before that I wanted to shift my focus a bit more towards role-playing games. And I'm still going to tackle board games, don't get me wrong. But he is going to handle a lot of the board game reviews. So, very cool. And if I don't know if anybody out there has been following the Gaming Gang for like the 13 years almost that it's been around. But if you check out some of the old podcasts we did, fun stuff. And Elliott's got his own thing. He does costumes and all these other things for his videos, which a lot of people have ripped off from him, which is sad. He kind of took a break for a couple of years, and all these other putzes came along, and they're all doing costumes. And well, he was the guy who started all that and did little skits for the reviews and everything. Pretty wild. So the Madman says they'll have to check out The Voice of E. Actually, I have to point out that his website's gone. He forgot to renew his hosting, so it is gone. But the videos are still around. So the videos we're going to actually segue, we're going to migrate, I should say, his videos to the Gaming Gang as well. So he's going to have his own like kind of corner of the website. So the Madman says, I'll have to check out Voice of E. Hopefully I can make time to do it. It'll just be, his videos are short. His review videos are usually like 15, 20 minutes. Madman had pointed out, I thought Elliott might be returning. 2 T's on the Elliott, by the way. Wasn't going to ruin the announcement by guessing at the beginning of the show. Well, I kind of was trying to throw you guys a curveball because I said, oh, I got an announcement to make. And I was trying to look kind of serious. Like maybe it'd be something bad. So, Flaming Heron says, what is old is now new. The Dream Team's reforming. Well, we've been best friends for years, for over 40 years now. So it's not like, oh, well, yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I had made the offer to him. And then I actually talked to him today. We were kind of discussing San Diego Comic-Con. And he asked if it'd be okay for him to return. I said, dude, we've talked about it. It's fine. So stay tuned. Madman says, Jeff, you didn't have me fooled. Yeah, well, what can I tell you? It's not as if I'm a great actor or anything. So tonight, we are going to be diving on into the index card role-playing game Master Edition right after a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle. Packed in a jar for the freshest flavor. Served cold in a sack for you to savor. So dainty to eat, no muss, no fuss. An ideal snack for all of us. Crisp, tender, and tasty with a bit of spice. Buy one now. Taste how nice. Snack bar clerks will knock themselves silly, speeding your order for a real Chili Dilly.
How'd he get so big?
On Wilkins Coffee.
Wilkins Coffee isn't that good.
Once in a while he gets an extra tidbit.
It's new.
It's neat.
So easy to eat.
And you can get it right here.
Yes, you saw that correctly. They're new. They're neat. They're racist. It's like, oh my God. Just imagine that aired in theaters during intermission. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, there are a few. There are a few of these snipes that are. We saw the Smithfield barbecue with Uncle Ben basically on the cover of the can. I tell you. Yeah, well, I got to share these different little, these drive-in stingers or theater stingers, and boy, I tell you, that is like, whoa. All right, so let's jump on into Index Card Role-Playing Game Master Edition from Runehammer Games and Modiphius Entertainment. It's written by Brandish Gillum with artwork provided by the same. The hardcover is available for an MSRP of $44.99. You can grab the PDF over at DriveThruRPG, which clocks in at 400 pages. This hardcover we're going to look at today is not 400 pages. You can grab the PDF for $16.50. Should also mention right now, and I do not know how long this will last, you can get the softcover print on demand with the PDF at DriveThruRPG for $16.50. The same price as the PDF. So keep that in mind. All right. That said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Index Card Role-Playing Game Master Edition. Before we jump on in, should point out the fine folks over at Modiphius Entertainment were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but as always, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share my coverage with you. And of course, these days, it's important that you know that. I'm also going to stay picture-in-picture up here, as always. So as we take a peek through, that means I'm going to be cutting off a little bit of the upper left portion of the book. As we page through, do want to mention we are not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this master edition of the Index Card RPG, or what a lot of people refer to as ICRPG. So let's take a look at the back here. The system, a full-blown D20 role-play system tested by thousands worldwide. This is the do-anything, fast, friendly rules set you've been looking for. The heroes, build, equip, customize, and evolve player characters from all over the multiverse. Tons of gear, powers, and abilities to make your idea awesome. The worlds, 5 full worlds, fantasy, sci-fi, Weird West, Ice Age, and supers. All the maps, lore, and detail you need to go deep. The guts. Master the game with deep thinking on monsters, game mastering, encounters, and story design. It's all here. Quantum Phase Dragon is popping on into chat just in time for this first look. So I'm going to take a peek here real quick. Okay. I was looking to see if there was a code for the PDF, because a lot of times Modiphius Entertainment releases have a sticker with a PDF code on it. And normally what I do is I give that away. So Flaming Heron says that pricing is insane. They're getting it as I speak. They said they were interested in the game. So I'll tell you what, this clocks in at 400 pages. Holy cow. Funny thing is, just real quick, okay, so right there, that's Death in Space. Give you a better idea, right? Okay, not a whole lot of difference. Obviously, there is a difference But this is 128 pages. This is over 400. How? It's magic. That's why I was thinking, I know the PDF is 400 pages. I thought, no, there's no way that this book is 400 pages. So there, Flaming Heron says, doesn't look like 400 pages. It is. Right there, the character sheet's on page 400. Pretty wild. Okay, so we're going to jump on in here. And Hankerin Fernell is sort of the pen name of the creator of ICRPG. So a few things that I understand about this. It is a very, very easy system to wrap your head around. It is super rules light. And there's a real personality, as far as I understand, to the presentation as well. It's not real dry. It's almost conversational in tone. I don't know. Some people might not be too keen on that. Doesn't bother me at all. And this is supposed to be loaded with additional information about how you can create adventures and tips for game mastering and all these other things as well. So one of the things I'm kind of curious about, because now this is the Master Edition. So there was a second edition to ICRPG. This builds on that. So there were all these like additional releases, like some of these game settings that were separate purchases. Now they're all contained in the Master Edition here. But I'm kind of curious if the first edition of ICRPG was still a D20 system. For some strange reason, I've got the impression that it changed, that the game mechanics changed to a D20 at some point. I could be absolutely wrong, but just kind of curious. I have heard great things about ICRPG. Quantum Phase Dragon says, Runehammer! Yep, Runehammer Games and Modiphius Entertainment. So this is actually published by Modiphius. So it says, what's inside here? We get the ICRPG course system, player's guide, GM's guide, monsters, worlds, and then magic. So the core system, rolling a d20 to attack a monster is just too good to change. But lots of other things in tabletop gaming are ready for an upgrade. All the familiar you need with all the new you'll learn to love, play as written, or cherry pick for your current game. That is something else I have also heard through the grapevine about ICRPG is it is a great source of inspiration and nuggets for you to steal, to utilize in other systems if you'd like. All right, so we're going to jump in. We're going to take a look at the core system here. So 3 kinds of turns. Action only, near move, or I should say move near and action, and move far. Okay. So those are, I guess, combat turns. 3 kinds of actions. Checks, simple actions, don't need to roll on. And attempts. So you're looking to meet or beat a target number. And some things you're going to roll for effort. So examples of common action. Simple action, fix a saddle to your trusty steed. Checks. Use your strength stat to shove a wooden crate aside. Attempts would be translate a tablet covered in mysterious old runes. Target, easy and hard. Okay, so looks like our target number is a 12. I think the target numbers change. I'm going to take a guess. If it's something moderate, it's probably a 12. When it's hard, it's a target number +3. If it's easy, it's a target number -3. So target numbers are usually between 10 and 18. Is what this points out. Excuse me, little feels kind of dusty down here in the duct tape studios tonight. Coco B says that they've been playing ICRPG for a bit now. Easy to learn and fun, and there's a great community as well. All right, rolling for effort. So we're going to have different dice. Looks like D4 through D12s. Hearts and effort. Hearts is obvious, like your hit points. So it says 1 heart is equal to 10 points of effort. And I think I just saw it's also damage. Yeah, looks like it is. So I would take a guess if you were trying to take some old school Renaissance adventures in that, you could probably port it over relatively easily. I would think. If you're looking at 20 hits is 2 hearts, so every 10 hit points is a heart. Okay. It looks as if each kind of piece of the mechanics here is covered by like a page. So that's pretty simple. The hero coin. Sounds like we've got kind of like bennies, fate tokens. It says you can only have 1 hero coin at a time. No hoarding. So we've got the basics of the character sheet. So we've got the 5 different settings. We have Elfheim. Obviously, that's the fantasy setting. Warp Shell. It's got to be science fiction. Ghost Mountain. This is it's kind of a Weird West. Vigilante City. That's got to be superheroes. And Blood and Snow is no doubt the Ice Age. So we've got a player's guide. Who and what you are. Okay, so we've got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So we have the traditional 6 core attributes. Here they're calling them stats. And you assign stat points to these. And it says you get 6 stat points. So I'm taking a guess that for each point you put in a stat, that's a bonus. That it's like a +1. So if you had to roll, I'm guessing, I don't know. Coco B can probably tell me if I'm right. I'm taking a stab that if you've got like a +1 strength, if you're rolling an attempt that's based on that stat, you're going to add the +1 because that's your stat. I'm just guessing. So I have a stat max. No matter how awesome your character may become, no stat can ever be higher than +10. All right. So we've got, so this is Elfheim. So these are the life forms of Elfheim. I'm kind of surprised that they're kind of mixing this into the kind of core rules part. That's kind of wild. I would have expected this to be further back in the book when we get to the setting information. So what do we got? We've got warrior, hunter, shadow, obviously rogue, the bard, mage, and priest. So those are our classes. And then we have loot. So we have different kind of loot for your player characters. I can tell you right now, I can see that this is not going to be a role-playing game for people who like to min-max. No. If you're one of those types who likes to sit there for hours on end building your character, taint this, Dooley. This is my guess. So we got spells. So one of the things I've pointed out in the past that I love about like the OSR, and this is not OSR, this is obviously new SR. But one of the things I love is a lot of times the spell blocks are very short. few sentences telling you what does the spell do. It's not an entire page devoted to a spell. Also, okay, so here we've got the science fiction setting. And interestingly enough, 400 pages are packed into this book, but the paper stock is pretty good. Huh. Okay, so we've got science fiction. I was going to say, I kind of like how they've done this and included like little player's guides for, well, at least it looks like 2 of the settings. So we've got the Warp Shell, which is the science fiction setting, and then the Alfheim, which is the fantasy setting. Now we get into a GM's guide. This looks like this would be fun. I can see why Coco B is so high on this system. It looks like this actually looks like something that you would want to break out for people who've never played a role-playing game, so that you're not overwhelming them with a bunch of rules and everything. But still, something I believe I understand. Now, I'm not positive. Once again, maybe Coco B can chime in with us. Oh, wait. I think, didn't Coco B say that they're actually at dinner? And they're listening to the show with one earbud in? Okay, sorry about that. Omenal's joined us in chat. Good to see you, Omenal. Something else that I thought I had heard was that it's your challenge numbers. It's like, so let's say, for an example, you're doing a dungeon delve and the challenge number is set for like each location. So everything that would take place in a room is going to be set at a challenge level of whatever. And Omenal says they had to catch up and watch the stereotypes from the intermission. I know, that was just so gross. Man, I'm so glad how times have changed. Gosh. All right, so challenge tuning the 3 Ds: damage, disruption, and duration. Okay, target examples, target damage, vehicles, and chunks. All right, so here's the monster section. Heroes are made heroes by monsters. Darkness defines light. The GM's job, give the darkness life. All right, so we get, these are monster blocks here. Cool. Once again, gotta like that kind of OSR vibe to this, where it's just saying, hey, this is what it does. This is what this is known for. I highly doubt that there's, like tactics for the monsters in here, but imps. So they've got a bite weapon. Their weapon is bitey. All for one for all. Imps act as a group. If biting, they all bite. A tide of death. Imps have 1 hit point plus 1 rolls at tier 1. When the imp is slain, it doesn't die. Its stats increase by 1 tier up to 4. Jeez. When appearing, roll 1d4. The spawn is indicated. It's going to tell us how many imps. 1d100 imps. Jeez. 4 is a near infinite number of them flow in. I would think they'd fly in. 100 per round. So, Omenal says, I feel insulted for any group from that snipe. Okay, so talking about different tier monsters. So tier 4 is the highest tier. So those are the big bads. All right, so we get some advice about the monsters here. And then we get into the different worlds. So here looks like we've got Okay, so we're going to start off with the high fantasy. I think it's high fantasy. We know it's a fantasy setting, the Elfheim. So it's like this is a bit of a gazetteer here. Okay, and then it kind of gets into some themes for the different areas. So, as an example, we've got the Greenway Land of Prosperity. So we get a lay of the land, we get a map, we get details to discover, dangers to dare, folk and fellowship, and dungeons to delve. I think each one of these areas, gets kind of those little sections. That's neat. I like that. So it looks like we've got quite a bit devoted to the fantasy setting. Now we get into the science fiction setting. The art style is fun to this as well. I think one of the reasons why this is called index card role-playing game is that not only could you put your character on an index card, I think that there's like a bunch of art and things like that that's supposed to be like the size of an index card that you would lay out on the table as your players are playing. So, like, say you're doing a dungeon delve. Well, maybe they're in a room somewhere. You would actually have like an index size, card sized image you would just flip out there that's of the room or of the monsters and things like that. So Flaming Heron points out, when I was talking about monster manuals selling well and player option books tend to sell well, Flaming Heron says they feel a similar way about gazetteers and setting books. Yeah, I like setting books as well, if they're unique. If it's just the same old, nah, not so much. The man said they had to step away to close the window because there was a skunk. Oh, gosh. Hopefully no one's been sprayed. None of your pets were outside. I had a friend of mine, actually, now that I think about it, it's Elliott. It's Elliott Miller. He's got a dog that has been sprayed by skunks like 4 times. And it's like, when is that dog ever going to learn? It's like, leave the skunk alone. So this is Vigilante City. So it looks like each of the worlds are kind of presented a little bit differently. Huh. Interesting. So Vigilante City, it's showing us like different parts of the city, and it looks like these are kind of like highlights of the city. Like Uptown has City Hall. Smog Alley has the gas works. Downtown has Bay Stadium, where the Vigilante villains play. Actually, Vigilante City Vigilantes play at Bay Stadium. Okay, so talking about hero powers. I'm gonna have fun reading this. I am so glad that I hate to say this, but I kind of pestered my PR contact from Modiphius Entertainment to get a copy of this, because I had heard a lot of really good stuff about ICRPG, and I was like, I know it's not brand new. I know it's new for Modiphius. I think this is pretty recent, although I'm talking it's within a few months. This is out. Everybody can pick it up. It's not like a lot of times I'm taking a first look at something that's not in stores yet. This is obviously out, and it has gone through some different editions as well. But like I said, I had heard so many good things about this. like I said, I kind of pestered to get a copy, which I normally do not do. I might ask once for someone, and it's usually somebody I have a pretty good relationship with, that'll say, hey, by the way, so like Free League Publishing, I can reach out to Boel and ask for just about anything that they have in print, and she'll send it to me. Because Free League Publishing and I are pretty tight. But normally I would have to know somebody pretty good to be like, are you sure you can't get me a copy of that? Flaming Heron said, that being said, they actually create their own worlds for games when they can, and they really got into map making software. There's a lot of cool software out there for creating maps, for creating virtual tabletop, like buildings and things like that. Okay, so now we get into Magic. So we get into a bit deeper look at Magic than we saw early on, where we had like 2 sentences devoted to each spell. So this is not only just talking about like magic spells, it's actually kind of getting into like potions and wizards' towers, dimensions of magic. Okay, now we get into the spells. And still, once again, not huge, long, page and a half descriptions for a spell. They're still pretty short, to the point, but seem to be a little more in depth than we saw previously. And looks like we've got quite a few pages devoted to it as well. Different kinds of magic, holy spells. Well, a few pages of holy spells, infernal spells. Then we got some various different tables. Everybody likes their random tables. So we've got locations, we've got obstacles. Looks like only for the first 2 of the settings. So the fantasy setting and the science fiction setting. Hero essentials. Monster selector. Monster maker. There's our character sheet in the back there. Pretty easy peasy. I'm going to take a wild stab that the encumbrance system is not too difficult to get into. Magic loot, cursed loot, epic loot. So another thing, once again, just taking a stab here. I think in a lot of ways your loot defines your character as well. I think your loot probably defines your character as much or more than your stats do. So Omenal says that Modiphius says 44.57. Yeah, there's that exchange rate. Sold out 17.19 for the PDF from Modiphius. Okay, so anyway, so that is, did we miss out anything? No, just the character sheet. And amazingly enough, it is 400 pages squeezed into this book. I'm shocked. I didn't think it was going to be 400 pages there. I thought it was kind of like, oh, wow, the people get the PDF. They luck out. They get 400 pages. All right. Anyway, once again, this is the master edition of Index Card Role-Playing Game. It is from Runehammer Games and Modiphius Entertainment. And the MSRP for the hardcover that we just took a peek at is $44.99. The PDF is $16.50 over at DriveThruRPG. So Omenal pointed out, if you get the PDF from Modiphius, it's a little more. The other thing to mention is that if you pick up the softcover edition, which is a print on demand right now at DriveThruRPG, and I'm not trying to steal any of Modiphius's thunder, but I'm providing you with the best deals out there. Right now, you can get the soft cover and PDF for the same price as the PDF, $16.50. Wow. So that is something to consider as well. If you're looking for the hardcover, the other thing I would probably recommend, seeing that Omenal points out that it is sold out over on the Modiphius site, you might want to check online retailers. Probably save a little bit. I know it's not on Amazon. I'll tell you that right now. Because I was looking on Amazon, because remember, this was in shrink. So when I do, if I do a first look at something that's in shrink, you always see me take the shrink off. I looked on Amazon because I knew if I could find it on there, I could get the page count. Because remember, I was like, no way is that 400 pages in there. So it is not on Amazon, but take a look at some of the online retailers. Some of the, I don't have anybody in particular I'm thinking of, but probably save a little bit on the MSRP if you want to get the hardcover. If you can go with a softcover, $16.50 plus the PDF is a rockin' deal. Who was it? Was it Flaming Heron that was saying that they were over on DriveThruRPG getting it right now a few minutes ago? All right. So Zero Theory says, all right, let's do a quick session 0. Yes, Flaming Heron says, we'll get a gaming gang group going. Say that 5 times fast. So Omenal points out, yeah, that is a good deal. Yes. Once again, I don't know how long it's going to go on. It's possible, once again, I don't know. I'm just pulling this out of my hat. It is possible that DriveThruRPG will no longer have an opportunity to sell the Master Edition as a softcover because how recently this moved to Modiphius as the publisher. So it's possible, even though it is print on demand, it's possible that DriveThruRPG has copies already printed of the soft covers and they need to move them. And when they're gone, they will not sell the print on demand anymore. That is probably a possibility. Flaming Heron says, stand by for some nickels, dimes, and quarters. From our affiliation with the One Bookshelf sites. I've said it before, 5%. That's what normally, sometimes there are some products on DriveThruRPG there is no cut for. But most of the time it is 5% of your purchase goes to me. Wow, long show tonight. Hey, we had some fun though, right? So we were kicking off the fantasy role-playing game celebration here at the Gaming Gang. Hopefully those of you who are hanging out in chat have had a bit of fun. And those of you who watch after the fact, enjoy this video as well. And don't sit there in frustration. Just go, I'm done. I'm done with this guy. Okay, so that is it for tonight's show. What's going on next week? Well, that fantasy role-playing game celebration rolls on. On Monday, we are going to take a look at Swarms of the Multiverse, which is from Splinterverse. They do a bunch of 5e supplements in that. And these are swarm monsters, or monsters that control swarms, and so forth. So we're going to take a peek at this on Monday's show. Now, the rest of the week is open to change depending on what might show up over the next few days. But if nothing radical as far as fantasy role-playing games show up, on Tuesday's show, I'll be reviewing Pathfinder Lost Omens, the city of, it's Absalom, City of Lost Omens. I keep messing that up. So we will actually sit down and do a live review on the Tuesday show. Then on the Wednesday show, I'll be doing my live review of Goodman Games' Original Adventures Reincarnated Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Yes, I know some of you out there were probably wondering, hey, when's Jeff going to review the rest of those Goodman Games OARs that came his way? I've been waiting for my fantasy role-playing game celebration. So this will be on Wednesday's show. The only thing that's up in the air a little bit for Tuesday is mainly if something like really, whoa, shows up, which a lot of times I never know what's coming. Then I will change that up. So also want to point out that Sammy, so we have two Sammys. We have Samantha and we have Sammy. Sammy is going to actually take over the reviews for the core books for Pathfinder and Starfinder. She is going to be our dedicated reviewer for that. I am still going to do first looks. We'll still take peeks at them. From time to time, if it's something that's like really catches my eye, I'll do the review. I'll do a video review. But from here on out, she is going to be handling the Pathfinder and Starfinder core book reviews. I'll still be reviewing some of the adventures as well. I think part of it is because of my old school mentality. I tend to be a bit harder on like the 5e and Pathfinder releases as far as reviews, especially of the adventures. And I want to give somebody else a shot at taking a peek at some of the stuff as well. As far as 5e, they don't do PDFs, so there's no way I can have anybody else review them. Plus, I think people like my D&D reviews because I don't BS anybody. So I just tell you what I think. All right, so hopefully you like this video. And if you do like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It also lets you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Death in Space from Stockholm Cartel and Free League Publishing. So this will be up at the latest Saturday. Might be up tomorrow night. I don't know. I haven't decided when I want to roll it out yet. So, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Point it out all the time. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who watch live, thank you very much. Always appreciate you tuning in. If you took part in chat, much appreciated as well. Those are some bonus experience points you're going to be able to spend on raising your stats anytime now. Of course, I also know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch the stream live. It doesn't matter if you watch live or on Memorex. What really means a lot to me is that you take time out of your busy lives to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Thank you very, very much. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. And of course, as always, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.